After today's video, hopefully we will be able to say that you used to have trouble with this grammar, but not anymore. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Lloyd's Everyday English, the channel where I help to take your English to the next level with lessons like this one. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss another lesson. Now, today's lesson is definitely an important one, definitely one that you want to make sure that you are, doing correctly, using this grammar point correctly, is one that I see misused fairly frequently. So we're going to go through it here. What I'm talking about is be used to, get used to, and used to. Now those two probably sound very similar there, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, before we get into the different ways to use these words, I just want to review the pronunciation. Okay, now, please excuse my slightly strange typing here, but what I was trying to show with all of these arrows is these two words here, they have the same pronunciation. When we're talking about things, habits, routines in the past, we'll get to that in a moment, these two sound the same. Okay, so used to, used to, used to, used to, used to, used to. When you say them, they sound the same, even though the spelling is different. And this one is less commonly written like this for certain situations. We'll get to that. But I just want you to remember that the pronunciation for both of these is the same. And another thing as well. Now, these words, you don't want to get confused, of course. So if we're talking about past habits, which is what we're focusing mainly on today, you would say used to, right? I used to have trouble with this grammar point, but not anymore after Lloyd's lesson. I used to live there. I used to be friends with him, but not anymore. Okay, so used to, used to. Now, if we are talking about the function of something, now it's a totally different thing, of course. Something is used for something, right? This glass here is used to hold my water. I'll try not to spill it all over my laptop. So used and use, right? I use the glass to drink water. I use this computer to talk to you. So just remember that it's the same spelling, but it's a different word with a Z sound. But I think you know that already. I just wanted to just review that. But what we're talking about here is used. Used. I used to. We used to. Are you used to that yet? I'm getting used to it. Used. Used. So it's got a T sound there. Used. So that's just something I wanted to quickly review, the pronunciation. It's important, right? Okay, so there are different categories of this word, used. And it's actually a name in Afrikaans, Joost, Joost. Anyway, the first one that I want to look at here is used to plus the verb. This is the infinitive verb. So used to plus the verb can mean something you did continuously in the past, but not now. Okay? Something you did in the past, but not anymore. That habit, that routine, that state is in the past. You don't do that now. You are not in that state or doing that action now. It's something that continuously happened or very often happened in the past, but not anymore. All right? So, for example, used to go there, used to live there, used to be Used to sleep more than now. We'll look at more sentences in a moment, but I'm just going through each of them, each of the different ways first. Examples are on the way. Now, used to. Okay, yes, used to. So remember I said it has the same, I'm confusing myself with my own notes. Used to without the D. And this is one that you will see native English speakers make a mistake with. This is a spelling thing. This is a spelling issue, not a pronunciation issue. So this one you only have to worry about, this one, used to, when you are writing, typing, whatever. For speaking, it sounds exactly the same. Used to, used to. Now, this is something that I think even I make a mistake with. Even I make a mistake with this sometimes. And you will see a lot of, well, hopefully I don't make this mistake anymore, but quite a lot of native English speakers will make a mistake with this. And maybe it's actually, because it's so commonly mistaken, it's not the biggest one to worry about. But still, you want to be accurate. You want to write things correctly, of course. So, used to, with the same, that should be a plus there, I think. Used to plus verb. So it's the same thing. Used to, something continuously in the past. But if there is the did or didn't auxiliary, okay, the did or didn't auxiliary, because we're talking about the past. If it is a question, generally a question, did you used to do that? Did you used to blah, blah, blah? Did he used to? Did she used to? Did they used to? Then we remove the D. Okay, so it's exactly the same, just the spelling is U-S-E without the D. But the pronunciation is the same. So again, we will look at examples in a moment. But if you want to be correct with your spelling, if there is an auxiliary in the sentence, the rule says that you need to drop the D. That's all. That's all. Okay. Now let's move along to be used to. Now this is a bit different. This is where people get a bit confused. Be used to. To be used to something means that now, right now, something is normal and comfortable to you. So it's kind of a different meaning actually, compared to, you used to do something. So that would be in the past, something that you did continuously in the past. But be used to changes the meaning quite a lot. So it is when it relates to something being comfortable for you, something being normal for you or somebody else. Okay? Something is natural, normal, comfortable, easy. It has that meaning. So it's quite a different meaning. To be used to. When we conjugate the verb be, you would say am or are, right? I am. They are. I am used to whatever. We'll look at some examples. And as always, I would love to see your examples in the comments, and I will check them I'll check them a little bit later. So for example, I am used to I'm used to this dance routine. Let's say that you have been practicing a dance routine. This is not my story, I promise. But you at the beginning it was very complicated. I'm used to this dance now. It's very easy. It's comfortable. I don't need to think about it so much anymore. And then the last one, actually we'll look at one other thing as well, but the last one out of these four, the main four things we're looking at in this lesson is get used to. Now, get used to is the process, as you can see here, the process of something becoming normal and comfortable to you. So think about this. We have, maybe I should have put this one before actually, but we have the process of getting used to something. So that process, something is maybe not totally comfortable, not totally normal, still a little bit strange and new. So you get used to it, right? You are getting used to it in the continuous form. And then finally, in the end, you are used to it, right? Be used to. So it's a process. Get used to and then be used to. So for example, maybe you get used to your new schedule. But it takes some time. Maybe you get used to a new teacher. You get used to a new city, a new way of life, a new diet. And then after a while, you are used to it. Okay? Hopefully that is clear. And those are the main 4 that I wanted to look at today. And so if you remember anything else from this lesson, those are the 4 things I want you to remember. If you can remember those 4, then you will be fine. And mostly we focus on speaking here, so you don't even really need to worry too much about this one. Used to, did, didn't, okay? This is more of a spelling thing. It's important, but we're mostly focusing on speaking here. So it's really just 3 things that you need to remember. Used to plus the infinitive verb, it's things in the past that, and this is important, things in the past that don't happen now. Okay, that's the important thing, in case I didn't mention that, in case I didn't make that clear. Used to plus verb, something in the past, now, not anymore. It has that feeling, that nuance, that it doesn't happen anymore. You don't even need to say that it doesn't happen anymore. So for example, well, let's look at some examples. Okay, so the first example here with used to plus verb. I used to live in a smaller town. I used to live in a smaller town. Or you could just say, I used to live in a small town. Of course, smaller is comparing with the current one. Now, what does this say? If I say I used to live in a smaller town or a small town, that implies what? What does that imply? That implies that now, right now, I live in a big town, or bigger than before. So I don't need to say that. I don't need to say, I used to live in a smaller town, but now I live in a very big town. I could say that. That's totally fine. But if I say just this, it's clear that now I live in a big town or a bigger town. Okay? So in this case, this is a state. Okay? So I continuously lived, stayed, resided in a small town in the past. For a period of time in the past, probably a long period of time, I lived in a small town. I used to, not anymore. Next example. I used to be a party animal. Party animal, somebody who really enjoys partying, drinking, having a good time at night or daytime. Now, if you say I used to be a party animal, again, it implies that you're not a party animal anymore. Maybe now you've got older, you are more mature, you are not, just fixing my light there, you've calmed down a bit. Maybe when you were in university, when you were younger, you partied a lot, you drank a lot, you did some crazy things, but not anymore. That version of you is in the past. Now you are a respectable, responsible person. Okay? So I used to be a party animal. I used to think differently. So maybe you have evolved in your understanding of the world or politics or philosophy or whatever the case may be. You used to think differently, but now you think another way. I used to think differently. I used to respect you. That means I don't respect you anymore. I used to respect you. Okay. We have that one over. Okay. Now, so all of those examples so far were all states, right? I used to think, I used to be, I used to live, I used to respect. But we can also use used to for actions in the past as well. So, for example, I continue regular actions in the past. So, I used to go to the cinema every weekend. I used to go to the cinema every weekend. This is a routine, a regular routine in the past that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe it's changed. Maybe you go to the cinema once a month now. Maybe you don't go to the cinema anymore at all. Probably not because of COVID and lockdowns and everything. I used to go, this is actually my story, I would say. I used to go to the cinema with my mother and my little sister. We used to go, maybe not every weekend, but almost every weekend. We used to go and watch a movie at the cinema. And then lockdown started, and then the cinemas were closed. And even though the cinemas are open again, they're not. I don't think I've been to the cinema again since then. And yes, so that's something in the past, doesn't happen anymore, or maybe it's changed. Maybe you go to the cinema once, every month, once a month or something. So it's changed. Something has changed. Your past routine is now different. I used to eat too much fast food. Again, this implies now that you eat less fast food now. Maybe you still eat some. I mean, if I say I used to eat too much fast food, maybe now you eat none, maybe you eat some. You probably eat more healthy food now, hopefully, in this example. I used to eat too much fast food. So it's a previous habit, a bad habit in this case, that you don't do anymore. They used to hang out every day. They used to hang out every day. Again, they don't hang out every day anymore, unfortunately. Maybe these were, I don't know, two people who were very close in the past. They used to hang out every day. And now, maybe, I don't know, maybe they've lost contact. Maybe one of them has moved to another city. Lockdown has affected them as well, maybe in this imaginary story. So they used to hang out. I'm just repeating that pronunciation for you. Used to hang out every day. Regular, repeated routine in the past that does not happen now. I know I keep repeating this, but the reason I'm repeating it is because I hear this used incorrectly quite a lot. Now, let's move on to the auxiliary. The auxiliary in this case is did. So if you see there's an auxiliary in the sentence, especially for questions, right? Did you used to? Then you need to, I mean, the pronunciation is exactly the same. Did you used to do that? Did you used to go there? Etc. But the correct spelling, and again, as I said, native English speakers, maybe me as well sometimes, will mix this up, but you should not have a D there. You will often see a D there used incorrectly, but, it's not the biggest mistake in the world, but it should be used to. Used to. Same pronunciation, but without the D. So, did you used to be religious? Did you used to be religious? Or a statement. I didn't used to be so busy. I didn't used to be so busy, Before I had much more free time. I used to have, a lot of free time. But now I'm so busy. I didn't used to be this busy. Maybe you got a new job, a promotion, a baby. I didn't used to like him. I didn't used to like him or her. But now I do. Right? Maybe there's somebody, whether it's romantic or just platonic as a friend, maybe you didn't like them. You didn't used to like them. Or maybe there's a singer. You didn't used to like them, or an actor, But then you watched some of their movies or listened to some more of their songs and you started to like them. They started to grow on you. So I didn't used to like him, but now I do, is the implication there. Again, no D on used to. Used to, but when you say it quickly, used to. She didn't used to eat Chinese food. Again, you got the auxiliary there, remove the D. We didn't used to rely on the internet back in the day. Actually, in our Zoom session, one of our Zoom sessions this week, inside of our private community, you can click the link in the description box. There should be a link here as well. If you would like to join our private English learning community, English TV Live. So we were talking about the internet, and one thing that we were talking about was this: how now we rely on the internet so much, right? 24/7 basically. We are connected, whether it is, oh look, it's me. Whether it, whoops, okay, I pressed the wrong button. Whether it is on YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, email, etc., etc. We are always online these days. We rely on the internet so much. But, 20 years ago, not so much, not at all. I remember when I was a child, I didn't know what the internet was. We didn't used to rely on the internet. When I was a child, back in the day, we used to go to the library, right? If we needed to find information, find something out, I would go to the library. That's another one, by the way. It's actually something that just came to mind, which I forgot to include in this presentation. Maybe I can cover this more in another lesson. But instead of used to, you can also use would. But this is only for actions, not for states. So used to and would can be used interchangeably if you're talking about an action in the past. So I would, repeated action in the past. I would go to the library. I used to go to the library if I needed information. But now, just open my phone. Or talk to my phone if I feel that lazy. Hey Google, tell me what year the pyramids were made. Okay, I'm just checking my Google didn't wake up then. It's actually not working so well these days. Okay, be used to, be used to. Remember, what does that mean? Be used to means to be comfortable doing something. To feel something is easy, comfortable, normal for you. So, for example, I'm used to the city now. This city, let's say you moved to a new city, and at the beginning, of course, it was new and different and maybe confusing and scary. But then after a few months or a year or a few years, it becomes totally normal to you. You could say, I'm used to the city now. Maybe you came from a smaller village, and at first, when you got to the big city, wow, this is so crazy and different. But now, I'm used to it now. I'm used to it. I'm used to it. It's normal for me now. I'm used to performing on stage. I'm used to performing on stage. I'm used to performing. So one thing is that to be used to, you should follow it with the noun. Okay? I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So I'm used to this city, noun. I'm used to performing on stage. In this case, it's a gerund, which is a type of noun, right? ing. So I wouldn't say I'm used to perform on stage. I'm used to performing on stage. Maybe I'm used to talking on a stage, right? Public speaking. Maybe you're used to speaking in front of big crowds. I know for me it's pretty scary. I'm used to teaching live lessons, and I'm actually recording this lesson live if you're watching later in the replay. And I'm kind of, I don't think you ever get totally used to it. You're always a little bit nervous. It's never totally comfortable, but I feel fairly comfortable now. I remember the first ever time I did a live video. Actually, the first times I did a live video, I used to be so nervous. I used to hesitate before starting the video. I used to, my heart used to beat very fast. I used to make many mistakes. And now, fingers crossed, I'm more not making too many mistakes. Of course, it's natural to make mistakes in a live video, but I'm more comfortable doing it now. I'm used to it. It takes time to get used to anything, to speaking in English, right? To speaking in English with other people. It takes time to get used to it. But if you practice, which is what I encourage, of course, then eventually you will become used to it. You will be used to it. Now, as I said, get used to is the process of becoming comfortable with something. I'm still getting used to this new exercise routine. Let me know in the comments, what are you getting used to right now? Or what did you get used to? So somebody will say, for example, you will hear this quite a lot. Don't worry, you will get used to it. You'll get used to it. I can see one of the comments here in the live stream here says, I'm used to learning English online. Okay, so maybe at the beginning when you first were learning English in a virtual classroom like we are in now, maybe at the beginning it was a bit strange. It was a bit unfamiliar. It took some time to get used to it. But now you are used to it, I hope, if you're watching this video. I'm still getting used to this new exercise routine. So get used to is generally used in the continuous form because you're talking about that process of becoming used to it, becoming comfortable. So I'm still getting used to this new exercise routine. As I said, a very common way to give advice is to say this. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it, don't worry. You'll get used to it. It's a kind of a way to calm somebody down. Imagine you're doing something new, maybe a new job, a new city, a new routine, and you're very overwhelmed. Oh, how can I remember all these things? It's too overwhelming. And somebody could say, hey, don't worry, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. Don't worry, it's fine. I'm sure we've all experienced that at some time in our life. I can't. Maybe sometimes it's impossible to become used to something. I can't get used to waking up early. I think this is probably my story, I have to say. So I am definitely a night owl, you could say. So it's difficult for me to wake up early in the morning. And I'm not sure if I told you this before, but when I was teaching adults in South Korea, I used to teach them. It was generally business people in the morning, and I used to teach them at 6:30 every morning for about 3 years, and this was really horrible for me to wake up. Not the teaching, but the waking up part was really hard, really tough. So I could never get used to it. Even after 3 years, I couldn't get used to it. It was every morning was difficult, was a struggle, was like, oh no, how can I get out? I can't get out of bed. Because at that time, that wasn't online, that was in person. Luckily, the walk from my house to the school was only about 5 or 10 minutes. But still, you have to get up, take a shower, get ready. So probably you get up at about 5:30, 5:45. You got to maybe prepare something for the class if you haven't already. I could never get used to that. So that is about it. However, there was one more thing that I wanted to review as well. And so a common mistake that I hear is people say, I used to do something, meaning that you often do it now. Now, as we have gone over today, when we say used to do something, used to verb, it's something in the past. So the word that you want to use in this case is what? If you talk about routine today, a regular routine today, you would want to use, excuse me, usually. Jeez, not sure what happened there. I'll try not to die during the stream. Usually. So, a very important difference that you want to remember is usually versus used to. Usually versus used to. Used to is something in the past, okay? I used to go there, I used to live there, I used to know him better, I used to hate that person, I used to work harder, I used to study more than now, I used to, etc., right? But if you're talking about something right now, these days, a routine, something that you do regularly, commonly, often, now, right now, you want to use usually. Maybe you know this already. It's possible you know this already. I just wanted to hammer it home because it's a very important point. I usually turn to my sister for advice. It's true. My sister is a very good person to turn to for advice. Let me know in the comments who you turn to for advice. Turn to somebody means you go to them when you have a difficult time. You need some advice. She usually finds a way out of trouble. So this person, I don't know who this person is. They are a troublemaker. I know we have a few troublemakers in our community. And even though they get into trouble, they usually find a way out of trouble. Usually. Maybe not every time. Okay, that is incorrect. Sorry, that was from a previous lesson. That was from yesterday's class. That shouldn't be there. Okay, now, quiz time. Let's do a little quiz before we finish. All right, little quiz. So, in the comments, if you're watching live, I would love to see your answers. And if you're watching in the replay as well, please leave your answers in the comments. All right, let's go. The first one here. These days, visit my mother's house on Sundays. These days, now, today. What is the answer? These days, visit my mother's house on Sundays. What is the answer? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And the answer is, these days I usually visit my mother's house on Sunday. So remember the last point we looked at there. If you are talking about a regular routine now, today, well, not today, maybe today, these days, not in the past, we use usually. Next one. Did he be overweight? Did he be overweight? What is the correct spelling in this case? The answer is, did he used to be overweight? Used to. Remember, why is that? We have an auxiliary verb here, did. So with the auxiliary, you have to use used to. Used to. Used to. Okay? Maybe in another lesson we can go into more detail about why that is. But just remember that structure. Okay? I'm still I'm still something my new phone. It's a bit complicated. You have a new phone. It's a bit complicated. Maybe you used to have a Apple, and now you have an Android, or vice versa. And now you have a new phone. Like, what? How do I use this phone? What the hell? I'm still. Maybe the options are different. The controls are different. You don't know what's going on. I'm still getting used to my new phone. Remember the process of becoming familiar, comfortable with something, getting used to. I'm still getting used to my new phone. It's a bit complicated. I spoke to a friend the other day, and she used to have an Apple phone, and I think it was for Christmas. She got a Samsung, and she can't, even after 4 months now, or 3 months, 4 months, I guess, she can't get used to the Samsung. She wants to go back to Apple. It's quite funny. So when I receive messages from her, you might know this person. She's a member, a frequent, regular member in our community. But she wants to go back to Apple because she can't get used to it. In my case, I've had a Samsung or Android for many years. So if I go back to Apple again, it will probably take me some time to get used to the iPhone. So a very classic example there. Okay, last one. That's a bit big. Okay, they something hate each other, but now they are in love. They're in love. Okay, let's see if I can find another good sound effect. Okay, I can't find. I need to find a sound effect which is, or maybe this one. This one. I was trying to find a sound effect which says something like "woo." I need to download that one. Anyway, they something hate each other, but now they are in love. I think this is quite an easy one. Let's check it out. They used to hate each other, but now they're in love. They used to be in the state of hating each other, right? They used to hate each other, but now they are in love. Very romantic story in the end. You often see that in movies, right? At the end of the, at the beginning of the movie, the boy and girl meet each other. They hate each other, have contempt for each other, but they can't stay away. They can't stay away from each other. And then over time, the attraction grows, and then they fall in love, and then something goes wrong, and then they fix it, and then it's a happy ending. That's the general formula for these movies, right? Anyway, everybody, hopefully this was a useful lesson. I really do think this is an important grammar tip today, so definitely one that you want to make sure that you have right. So maybe watch this again if you're still confused. But hopefully we have reviewed it enough, and it's nice and clear now. So thank you for watching. Leave your examples in the comments. I would love to hear what you are getting used to these days. Tell me as well something you used to do that you don't do anymore, and something that you are used to, you are comfortable with right now. Let me know with lots of nice example sentences in the comments. Have a great rest of the day and weekend if you're watching this on a Friday or a Saturday. And I'll be back again very, very soon. Bye-bye.